Okay, everybody. Hello, howdy, and welcome. Welcome to the presentation. Thank you so much for being here. We are live. I tell you what, we're live, by God. And I appreciate y'all being here. Oh, I got to push this button too. That would be good. There we go. I always forget that button. Well, happy Friday to you. Hopefully you're having a good Friday wherever you are in this brutal world. And as you can tell behind me, the backdrop means we're having Paranormal Friday. Paranormal Friday. So, I can't believe it's already Friday. I don't care what anyone says. Time is going too fast. It's going too fast. I don't know. I don't get it. All right, folks, let's get into the presentation. But first, let's talk business, shall we, if you don't mind? Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am Bishop James Long. I appreciate you all being here. And happy Friday to you. It's Paranormal Friday. We're going to have one heck of a good, scary show tonight. And what's going to be even more frightening is that it is a true story. If you don't know anything about this, you're going to be shocked. But first, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to our sponsors' websites. All right? And that is kgradb.com. KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. So we are running the show right now on KGRADB radio. Mr. Producer is behind the scenes pushing the buttons. And here's what's really cool. I ask you to please, those of you who follow me, please do us a favor. I want you to go to kgradb.com. Click on the shop link. Now, when you click on the shop link, you'll want to click on my name, Bishop James Long. And we have some amazing products that are on that site. Some St. Michael products. We have St. Benedict products. Mr. Producer is showing it. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Daxon. Mr. Producer is showing that there on the show page on KGRADB Radio and everywhere else. Look, here's what's so great about this. Number one, the products are really fantastic. They are really nice. And I'm looking at the screen now as he's showing everybody. 100% of the profits that would go to me for KGRADB Radio selling these products, we as a community, we're donating to the MKS Kids Foundation. They're an orphanage. They're in Uganda. They are a nonprofit organization. They are not government funded. They are privately funded, and they need help. Right now, they need help. So your dollar goes a long way. And of course, some person who, of course, does nothing else better to do but to insult people said, well, why don't you do anything about the homeless? As if you can't do both. So let me go slower for that individual who actually said that. We can do both. And as a matter of fact, I've had a homeless ministry for 20 years. Have you? Do you? No, you don't. But you have this, don't you? Again, typical. You know, it's always these people who run their mouths and have nothing really to say that's intelligent. So before I was rudely interrupted and sidetracked, just ignore those people. They really offer nothing to the conversation. However, I do strongly encourage you to please, guys, I don't receive anything from you going to KGRADB Radio. I don't receive it. I don't receive no benefit from this whatsoever. The benefit that I receive is knowing that as a community, we are helping the MKS Kids Foundation, an orphanage in Uganda. I know Abram, the director. You can tell he just has a beautiful soul. He really does, and he cares about these children. And I think it's great. So Mr. Producer is still showing. I mean, really, some of these products are amazing. They're really nice. Okay, so I'm at 100%. And guys, look, it's zapping, and I'm telling you now, before you know it, Christmas is going to be here. So buy your products now, and when you buy the products, you're helping not only KGRADB Radio, you're helping them because they are sponsoring. We love the KGRADB Radio family. So you help KGRADB pay the bills, and you also help MKS Kids Foundation. My goodness, you're doing really a wonderful, wonderful thing by going to that shop. So again, kgradb.com, click on the shop link, and then click my name. Also, I want to let everybody know Well, let's go ahead. If you want to go to my website because you're really bored, have nothing else better to do, you can go to bishopjameslong.com. Okay, bishopjameslong.com. Yay. All right. Now, more importantly, if you want to go to the church's website, usocc.org. And we do have a night prayer later on tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join us. We'd love to have you guys there. Now, I want to make an announcement because this is an exciting announcement for me. So I am almost finished writing a paranormal investigator's manual, a booklet basically from my perspective. This is a book, and I'm very proud of it. I think it's coming along nicely. I do have to kind of figure out how I'm going to make the front cover, the art of it. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. I don't know. I don't know if I want to just keep it bland. That's kind of boring because I'm not artistic at all. It is a paranormal investigator's manual. And so I'm going to have to figure that out. But once I have that part figured out, then I can put it all together. And this is what's really exciting about this. 100% of the profits that will come from this Paranormal's Manual book, 100% as a community, and I always say this because we are a community, we're going to donate that to the MKS Kids Foundation. So I am setting up, I've already spoken to them about their PayPal account, so I have to connect their PayPal account to the publishers and all this other stuff. That way, all the fund goes directly to them. And again, I think, when we're able to help, look, when the good Lord calls me home, whenever that may be, I don't want people to remember Bishop Long as the person who was on Ghost Adventures or television shows. I want people to remember Bishop Long as the person that was very passionate about teaching and wanting to help people. That's the legacy. That is the true legacy. That's the real legacy that I want to leave behind. I'm not planning on going anywhere time, but look, that's the point. And that's a real legacy because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that is the God's honest truth. And when you touch people's hearts, that's when, thank you very much. Thank you, Jessica. That's when you make a difference. That's when you make a difference. Also, don't forget, one more thing, and then we'll go into the show. Please do me a favor and go to my friend's Bishop Greer's website, oursaintfrancis.org. Okay? As a matter of fact, I'm going to go there just to make sure that I'm giving you all the correct information, oursaintfrancis.org. So they are an old Catholic independent community. And if you click on the outreach button and the Human First Outreach, they have a beautiful homeless ministry. And they have an Amazon wish list. They also have, you can donate to their community too. But if you go to the Amazon wish list, what they'll do is they put care packages together and they pass that out to the homeless community in Georgia where they're located. I get it. I get it. Money's tight for a lot of people. I understand that. I get it. But if you can help out, that would be wonderful. And they would appreciate that too. So again, oursaintfrancis.org. And you just click on that outreach button. And then when you do that, it takes you right to you'll see the Amazon wish list. Okay? Mr. Producer, maybe that's what we should do. Thank you, Mr. Producer's right on. He just read my mind. He's showing everybody now on KGRADB and everywhere else. And that's what you got to do. Just click on the outreach button, and then it says Human First Outreach. And there you go. And it doesn't matter. Look, it doesn't matter if we all have different political points of views. Some people are conservative, some people are liberal, some people are moderate. It doesn't matter. What matters is I don't care if a person is ultra liberal. I don't care. I don't care if a person is ultra conservative. I don't care if a person is moderate. The fact they can be any of those things and they're still doing beautiful work by helping the homeless. And for those of people who say, well, we shouldn't be helping the homeless, they should be helping themselves. Why don't they just go to a homeless shelter? I was a homeless shelter manager for 5 years at a shelter, a homeless shelter. And let me just give you a little heads up on that. The reason why a lot of homeless do not go to shelters is because when you go to the shelters, you're required to surrender all of your weapons, things that protect, that will protect you when you're on the street. Because when you're on the street, it's dangerous. And many times you don't get those things back. And that's just unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So a lot of people would rather live in the streets because because you got to understand, when you're in a homeless shelter, if it's full, they turn you away. And then now you're on the streets again and you have nothing to protect yourself with. So I used to be a shelter manager. I'm fully aware of why people don't do this. And I understand. Okay. So, all right. Anyway, so let's go on to our many times they don't accept pets. Yeah, many times they do not. All right, folks, so let's get into our presentation because we have a fun show tonight. A lot of people don't know about this, but boy, when you hear about this presentation, you're going to be shocked. I promise you, this is going to be one of the things that you're going to want to know more about it. And I'm just pulling up this. So bear with me while I do this 1 second. My iPad is being cray-cray. But anyway, yeah, while I'm looking for this, don't forget kgradb.com. Click on the shop link and click on my name. And then if you do that, you can buy all the products there, as many products as you can, and that would be absolutely beautiful. All right, I don't know where this thing is. I don't know. There it is. Okay. We got to play this music that sets the tone, Okay. The Codex Gigas, otherwise known, thank you, Mr. Producer, otherwise known as the Devil's Bible. So the Codex Gigas, and Mr. Producer is showing that on everybody on the other KGREDB radio and everyone else listen to this. It is no ordinary book. Standing nearly 3 feet tall, weighing as much as a small child, this medieval manuscript is the largest surviving book from the Middle Ages. Its colossal size is just the beginning of its very dark tale, known quite frighteningly as the Devil's Bible. Now, legend has it that this book, mysterious book, was created in a single night, not solely by human hands, but with the sinister aid of the devil himself. For centuries, historians and others, mystery enthusiasts, have been captivated by the secret that it harbors. Its haunting illustrations, bizarre contents, chilling myth of its origin. What could compel a monk to strike a pact with such a malevolent force? And why does this ancient manuscript continue to baffle experts this very day? So together we're going to delve into the truths, theories, and enigmas surrounding one of history's most fascinating artifacts. It is impossible to discuss the Codex Gigas without marveling at its sheer physical presence. The manuscript is not just large, it is a behemoth, almost otherworldly. Imagine trying to lift or even open such a book, standing again 3 feet tall, over 1.5 feet wide, weighing an astonishing 165 pounds. It rivals the size of a small door. In the Middle Ages, even a standard manuscript could only weigh a fraction of this. And the Codex Gigas was clearly not meant for casual reading. It was an artifact of power, reverence, perhaps even intimidation, designed to leave an indelible impression on anyone who even dared to encounter it. But its size is not only remarkable, the book is composed of more than 300 vellum pages, each painstakingly crafted from treated animal skin. Experts estimate that creating these pages require the skins of approximately 160 donkeys. This staggering sacrifice of resources raises countless questions. Why would a single book demand such a colossal investment, especially in an era when materials and animals were incredibly valuable? And how could a medieval scribe, long before the advent of modern tools, accomplish such a monumental task? And, really to grasp the enormity of this undertaking, consider this labor involved in the vellum production during the Middle Ages. Preparing just one page required soaking, stretching, scraping, drying the animal hide, and labor intensive in process that demanded skill and very intense precision. Now multiply that efforts by hundreds of pages, and you begin to understand the obsession, perhaps desperation, that drove the creation of this book. Now, some theories suggest that the Codex Gigas was commissioned by an exceptionally wealthy monastery or noble patron, someone with means to secure such an immense quality. Others, however, link its creation directly to the legend of its origin, claiming that only something or someone otherworldly could have orchestrated such an achievement in what might have been an impossibly short amount of time. Now, beyond its materials, the construction of the manuscript is unparalleled. Scholars believe the entire codex was written by a single person, based on handwriting analysis that reveals remarkable uniformity throughout the text. Now, this level of consistency might not seem extraordinary today, but in the medieval world, producing a book of this size by hand, that was a Herculean effort. Monks and scribes often labored in shifts over years, sometimes even decades, to complete such a smaller manuscript. Yet, somehow, one individual is thought to have created the Codex Gigas from start to finish, writing each letter and illustrating each image with meticulous care. It is a feat so seemingly superhuman that it lends credence to the manuscript's sinister legend. Now, the physical characteristics of the Codex Gigas alone make it an enigma. Was it intended to serve as a religious or ceremonial object, a demonstration of unrivaled craftsmanship? Was it something darker, a creation born of obsession, desperation, as the story of the monk's pact suggests? And its towering size, the extraordinary resources it consumed, the manpower, perhaps even the supernatural force required for its creation, all contribute to its aura of mystery. And when you consider the book's unique contents and haunting artwork, it becomes clear that this book is far more than a medieval curiosity. Oh, wait till you hear. It is a window into a world of ambition, belief, and mystery that continues to captivate us today. And one of the most enduring and chilling mysteries surrounding this book is its origin story, a tale that beckons us to explore the shadow of history, confront the darkness that lies within. Here's the story. And this, my friends, is a true story that some of you are going to be truly shocked, stunned, and thinking, how on earth could this be possible? But it is. To understand the Codex Gigas, the Bible, the Devil's Bible, you have to begin not with the book, but with a man, a single monk, alone, in the cold silence of a stone chamber in the heart of a medieval monastery. We don't know his name. His identity has been buried by time, but the story survives. And what it suggests is something almost too terrifying or impossible to believe. This man, this monk, broken his sacred vows. Some say that he was actually caught practicing forbidden magic. Others believe that he dared to question the authority of the church, or worse, Some legends say that he actually denied God entirely. Whatever the sin, his punishment, friends, was final. And what was his punishment? Sealed inside a wall, alive. So this was a brutal, ancient unaliving known as immurement. No trial, no mercy, no final words, just bricks, mortar, a slow suffocation. But as the stone wall was laid, the monk begged for his life. He wept, he screamed, he pleaded for just one last chance to redeem himself. And that, my friends, is when a cruel deal was struck. So the abbot, whether moved by pity or even a darker curiosity, made him a promise. Listen to this. The abbot said, if you can write a book that contains the sum of all human knowledge within a single night, your life will be spared. He only had one night. The room obviously felt very quiet. There's no way that a person could write an entire book on the sum of all human knowledge in one night. Stone walls still unfinished, and the monk nodded. So his cell door was slammed shut. There was no way. When I say cell door, in the cell, monks call the rooms rooms. His door was shut and locked. There was no way for him to escape. So let's just stop there for a moment, friends, because what was just asked of him was humanly impossible. There's no way. Now think about it. A book that contains every part of the Bible, every piece of medical wisdom at that time, every historical known fact at that time, he was required to write all that in a book in a single night by hand and by candlelight. This is in the Middle Ages alone. No help. He did not even have parchment or ink when he was locked in. And yet, he started writing. Now picture him. Hours pass, the candle flickers, his hand is probably shaking, his body weakens, knowing that he is about to be put, because he knows he's not going to be able to do this, and he's going to be buried alive by these bricks in a wall. So he dips into a makeshift ink made from crushed plants and ash, scribbling page after page until his fingers bled. He's falling behind. The book grows larger and heavier. The air thickens. There's no possible way he can finish before sunrise. And desperation creeps in. He drops his quill because he realizes there's no way he can do this. And he does something that he never thought that he would. He kneels, but not to God. He begins to pray to Lucifer. Now, this moment is the heart of the legend, the moment where the divine ends and the demonic begins. See, the monk, they say, cried out in the darkness. He was crying, "Help me write this book, and I will give you my soul." The devil listened. And what happened next has no explanation, only fear. Because by morning, the book was finished. Hundreds of pages, every letter precise, uniform, perfect, beautiful. No signs of exhaustion or error, no changes in handwriting. Only one horrifying detail. No one ever saw the monk again. The cell was empty, and the book stood on a stone pedestal, too heavy for one man to lift. The air inside the room smelled of sulfur. And scorched into the wall above the manuscript was a handprint. It was black, 3 fingers, too large to be human. Now, some people say this is a myth, something more. Well, here's what we do know for a fact. The book itself exists. It is real. And what's even more frightening is it matches the tale. It has 624 pages. Each page, as I mentioned, is made from stretched animal skin. As I mentioned, likely the flesh of 160 donkeys. This is important to know. Why? Because donkey, in my opinion, is a mockery of Christ. Because remember, it says in Scripture that Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey because that he was fulfilling prophecy. Every word was written in the same hand. No other medieval manuscript looks quite like the Codex Gigas. It is unnatural. It is too perfect, and it is too large. Now look, it includes the complete Vulgate Bible. So it's in Latin. Oh yeah, you can look this up. Mr. Producer was showing everybody on KGREDB radio. Hold on, I'll get your questions. Hold on, let me get through the lecture. We just started. Hold on. So it includes the complete Vulgate Bible that's in Latin. Perfect. The penmanship is perfect. Guys, I'll get your questions later on. Let me do the lecture. Medieval text, magic formulas, necromantic rituals, and even a list of sins with assigned penances. Everything a soul might need to be saved or damned. The most chilling detail comes much later. You see, deep in its final chapters, a full-page portrait. Thank you, Jelly Bean. One that has disturbed and haunted every single person who has seen it. Mr. Producer, have you? He's probably busy. It's a portrait of the devil, seated, clawed, horned, smiling. Friends, this is not just a book. It is a bargain bound in flesh. There it is right there. Mr. Producer showing it for everybody. Keep it up there. I'll take a quick picture of that and show it everybody on TikTok. Let me take a picture of this real quick. 1 second. There we go. I can show everybody on TikTok. Thank you, Mr. Producer. Okay. Now, it may be, if the legend is true, which many people say it is, it may be the devil's most powerful artifact on earth. The monk may have vanished, but the book he left behind, the Codex Gigas, has endured. It's not just a manuscript. It is a monument. So these are all the details, the specifics of it. It is bound in raw animal hide, 35 inches tall, 20 inches wide, and 8.6 inches thick. It weighs 165 pounds. It is the largest medieval manuscript that's known to exist. Way too heavy for one person to lift, too wide for most shelves, and unlike any other Bible that's ever been created. So the monks who first found it referred to it in whispers. They wouldn't even touch it without wearing gloves, blessed in holy water. And they called it at first the giant book. But even then, they knew there was something wrong with it. So every single page, vellum, it's stretched, bleached, and scraped smooth animal skin. I mean, it wasn't a cow or a calf skin. Most historians agree that it would have taken over 160 donkeys to create this parchment alone. Now just think about that. No, not scrolls, not pieces bound together later. This was all made at once, prepared for a book no one had ever seen before or since. And then the ink. So the ink is a deep, rich black, still dark and still legible, even after over 800 years. And you think that's the strange part. Well, let's go a little bit deeper into the strange world. In medieval times, monks used what's called gall ink, Gall. It's made from oak galls, iron salts, gum, Arabic. But the Codex Gigas ink, it behaves differently. Modern analysis shows that it contains minerals not found in other surviving text. And actually, under UV light, certain letters, especially names, seem to glow faintly red, as if marked or chosen. Now, inside the Devil's Bible, you'll find everything. You have the entire Old and the New Testament, a complete Latin encyclopedia, medical text, magical cures, list of herbs and poisons. There's a calendar of saints, and even a guide to exorcisms. Finally, the Chronicle of Bohemia. So it's a natural history, one of the land where the monk was punished and where the devil may have been summoned. All of it handwritten in the same steady, unwavering script. No shaking, no fading, no corrections. Imagine, just think about that for a second. Imagine copying the Bible alone by hand. It would take almost 20 to 30 years. But this book, one day. One person. And scholars say the same thing over and over again. This amount of work by one man is unnatural and impossible. And then, by the way, there's page 577. Yeah, Mark. 577. It doesn't matter how skeptical you are. When you see this page, something inside you twists. As I mentioned, that's where he's found the devil. Not as a fallen angel, not as a serpent, not even as disguised as a man, but in full horrifying form. By the way, he fills the entire page on page 577, nearly 2 feet tall. That's how tall it is. Blood red skin, 2 tall curved horns, clawed hands and feet, a forked tongue, small beady eyes too close together. And again, it's a grin that's far too human. Yeah, I'll show you again. So he, as you see, he sits crouched, knees pulled up, arms bent outward, surrounded by black void. No borders, no symbols, just space. And he's in a cage, or worse, like he's been invited in. Now, across from him, on the facing page, the heavenly city, drawn in faded ink, buildings made of gold, open gates, a glowing sky. 2 pages, side by side. Heaven and hell. Salvation and damnation, God and the devil. But notice this. God is never depicted. In this book, there's no picture of Christ, no crucifixion, no image of saints, only scripture. And the devil smiling. So why was this even made? Well, the big question no one can answer is why. Why would someone create this monstrous a book? Why compile the entirety of sacred and secular knowledge in one single overwhelming volume? Well, some believe it was created because it was meant to be a weapon, a source of mystical power, a grimoire disguised as a Bible. Others think it's a trap, a prison meant to contain Lucifer himself. Thank you. And a few have even whispered that it was a gift, not for man, but the Antichrist, a map to remake the world page by page. But whatever the truth is, the fact remains, this book exists, and it should not. Its size defies reason. Its completion defies time. Its purpose, whatever it was, is still unfolding. And page, by the way, 577 sits quietly. Thank you there, Susan. For those of you who keep wanting to know where it is, page 577 sits quietly in a sealed glass case in Sweden. But when you stand before it, you feel it watching. Not the book, but him, the one inside. Many people who say that they've seen this thing feel like that there is something in the room with them. And some people say if you stare too long, you might find that that grin grows wider. Now, we've talked about what this book is. We've explored the impossible way that it was created. We've looked at the ink, the skin, the devil smiling on page 577. It is just look up Devil's Manuscript. That's the easiest way. Yeah. So, but here's one thing. Here's where things begin to change. Because the book just doesn't exist. See, it moves, it leaves a trail. Wherever it goes, something terrible seems to follow. And this part of the story isn't about pages, it's about bodies, fires, war, a pattern of destruction that's never been explained. The Codex Gigas was born, as I mentioned, in a Benedictine monastery in the Kingdom of Bohemia. It was a very peaceful place. It was quiet. It was sacred. And we're going to go into a little bit deeper into this monastery now. That changed after the book was completed. Records actually say that the monastery fell into complete chaos. Once the book was written, it was crazy. First, disease, then violence. After that, a total and complete financial collapse, all in the monastery. And by the end of the century, the entire monastery was stripped of power. Monks were scattered, or they passed away, and the book, the Devil's Bible, was moved and carried by monks to another holy site. And again, what happened? Disaster. The cycle would repeat itself for centuries. Wherever the codex went, misfortune followed. Okay. So guys, I appreciate the questions. One more time, just hold on to your questions, because if I start answering all these questions, then we'll never get to the lecture. So just hang tight. I promise you. I've got a lot of chat rooms open right now. So this is not specifically geared at one person. Just keep in mind. So, it's very negative, yeah. By the way, it passed into the hands of scholars who mysteriously disappeared. It was housed in private collections until those families were wiped out by plague, fire, or even madness. Now, here's a little bit of history. One nobleman who owned it in the 1500s began obsessing over it. He isolated himself. He stopped speaking, and one morning his servants found him deceased at his desk with a smile carved into his face. That was the same grin that's as in the devil on page 577. Some people say this is where they got the Joker and the cutting from this. Now, the most infamous chapter begins in 1648. Europe was drowning in the chaos of the 30 Years' War and one of the most brutal conflicts in human history. And that year, Swedish forces stormed the city of Prague. Inside the city, the Codex Gigas. And Swedish soldiers took it as a spoil of war. It was paraded through the streets like a trophy. But days later, the unit that seized it was completely ambushed and unalived. No survivors. The general who had taken possession of the book, he actually developed seizures and paranoia. And he died in agony less than a year later. So the Codex was sent to Stockholm, locked away in the royal castle. And guess what happened? That's when the fire came. Thank you, Tammy. A mysterious fire tears through the royal castle of Stockholm. Thousands of irreplaceable texts burned. The library completely destroyed. But guess what did not get destroyed? The Codex Gigas. It survived. Everything else destroyed. Witness actually claimed that they saw the book thrown from a third-story window, thrown as if by unseen hands. And when they found it in the ashes, not a single page was burnt. Not one letter smudged. It was untouched. Now, the librarian on that day, Johann Scheffer, was never seen again. Now, some said that he escaped, others that he never made it out of the library, that his screams could be heard long after the fire was out. So how does a 165-pound, 3-foot-tall manuscript survive a castle fire unharmed? How is it thrown from a burning window without damage? How does it always walk away from when everything around it is destroyed? Well, historians chalk it up to luck, preservation, maybe even superstition, but the pattern continues. Now, in the centuries since that fire, those who've worked closely with the book, translators, archivists, historians, every one of them all report strange experiences. Some have reported hallucinations, nightmares, chronic illness, sudden deaths, and one repeating symptom across centuries. Every one of them experienced unshakable guilt, a feeling that they've seen something they should not have. That the book actually marked them. So very interesting. In 1973, a Latin scholar named Eric Palm attempted a full modern translation of the Codex Gigas. He isolated himself in a private study room. He didn't want to be interrupted, working alone. He began losing weight. He completely stopped answering all calls. And he began writing strange symbolic characters into his notebooks. And one day, the library staff found the door to his study locked from the inside, and they broke it down. He was gone. No sign of struggle, no broken windows, no exit. Just a single sentence scratched into the wall beside his desk. He is free now. So, is the Codex Gigas cursed, or does it contain something we're not supposed to understand? It has outlived nations. It has burned castles to the ground. It has haunted men until their minds actually broke, and yet it endures behind glass in a silent library in Sweden. But some say the curse doesn't live in the book. It lives in you. Once you've seen it, once you've read its pages, once you've looked into the devil's face, actually looked in the book, so don't get nervous. People are like, oh my gosh, you just showed the picture. No, you have to actually see it there. You never truly walk away. If the Codex Gigas was simply a historical oddity, a large medieval Bible, it would sit quietly in a museum, admired and forgotten. But people keep digging. They keep examining, and the deeper they go, the darker the book seems to get. This isn't just about ink and parchment anymore, friends. This is about what's underneath, what might be hiding between the lines. Because buried inside this massive book are whispers of something far more disturbing. It is a coded system. It is a set of rituals, possibly a doorway to something that was never meant to be opened. As we go deeper into this book, again, the handwriting alone, experts have confirmed, remember that the entire book, 624 pages, was written by one hand. Not just one person, but one unwavering, mechanical, disturbingly perfect hand in one night. That's not possible. Even the best scribes shows signs of fatigue. Thank you. Small changes in pressure or angles or letter shapes, but not there, not in the book. From page 1 to the final sentence, the script is identical. It doesn't drift. It doesn't waver. And if it wasn't written by a human being, as if it wasn't written by a human being at all. Some believe, I think this is proof of the legend, that a demonic force took over the monk's hand, or it replaced it entirely, writing through him, using him like a puppet. And if you believe that, then you have to ask, what was it really writing? That's $1 million question. Right. Yes, no. I'm getting a stupid headache, not because of the book, because I just have headaches. It just happens. Now, but here's what's even crazier. Listen to this. And thank you for Eli for liking. Thank you everybody for liking. But what was it really writing? 12 pages, by the way, are missing from the Codex Gigas. They weren't torn out in anger or by accident. They were removed deliberately with precision. Cut so cleanly, you never know they've even been there. Unless you measured. Now, scholars can only guess what was lost. Some say those pages include forbidden knowledge, rituals so dangerous the church tried to erase them. Others believe they included names, demonic hierarchies, sacred spells meant to bind spirits. Well, there's another theory that the missing pages were instructions, not information, activation. A guide to using the book, not just reading it. So in 1980s, a group of cryptographers began analyzing the Codex Gigas as a part of a larger effort to decode historical documents. And they weren't paranormal researchers, friends. They were mathematicians, rational, scientific. But what they found shook them to the core. Listen to this. Certain letters scattered irregularly through the manuscript appear to follow a non-random pattern. Again, some was in red ink, some slightly offset, some spaced unnaturally. They ran frequency analysis. Ooh, this is getting good. What came back was a message fragmented, incomplete. This is what it said. I see what you seek. He waits. Name him. So these are mathematicians, and they were able to see through many of the frequencies and the patterns. And they said they clearly see, I see what you seek. He waits. Name him. Well, I know exactly what that means. When you get so desperate, sometimes people will do anything and everything they can for fame, fortune, followers, that they make a pact with the devil. And what this means is the devil sees what you seek. He's waiting for you just to name him, to make a pact. So again, I want to make this very clear for everybody to understand. These were people who were cryptographers. They were mathematicians. They were rational. They were scientific. And they saw certain letters that were scattered irregularly through the manuscript. They clearly saw a non-random pattern. So it was non-random. That was purposely done. Some of these letters were in red and slightly offset, and they were able to say, okay, they kind of did frequency analysis, and that's where they came. So the group disbanded shortly after. Write down your questions, guys, and I'll answer them later. The group disbanded shortly after. 2 members later claimed that they were warned to stop. Not by a government agency, but by a church. And they never said who warned them, only that the warning wasn't human. Now, the portrait of the devil on page 577 isn't just as decorative. Some occultists believe it serves a specific purpose, a summoning focus, a gateway. In the 1800s, French European mystics developed a ritual centered around it. They called this ritual the midnight mirror. And here's how it supposedly worked. You sit alone in front of the devil's image, and exactly midnight, you light 3 black candles, each representing a different sin. You chant the names of demons associated with those sins while staring directly into the eyes on the page. If done correctly, they said, you wouldn't see the devil. You wouldn't see the devil move, but you feel his breath. And there were reports and stories and small rituals carried out in secret societies. One man, Julien Marteau, a French occultist, claimed to have completed the ritual in 1889, and he said, quote, it was not a vision. He came out. I no longer need the book. He is with me now. A week later, his body was found in a locked chamber, surrounded by torn pages from other Bibles. Burn marks covered the floor. No fire occurred. The only surviving object in the room was a single illustration. The devil, ripped from the Codex Gigas. So people who work closely with the Codex have often said the same thing. It feels like the devil is looking back at you. And visitors report unease, a pressure behind their eyes, a smell like burning copper or sulfur. Some say that they hear faint whispers near the glass case where it's kept. Nothing loud, just enough to make you feel like you're not alone. And then there are the dreams. Translators, archivists, curators, all reporting vivid nightmares while working near the book. Dreams of black halls, twisting corridors, laughing voices, something watching them from the dark. So the Codex Gigas was made to look like a Bible, but maybe it isn't about salvation. It's not a book about salvation. Maybe it's a door, a lure, a system of invitation. And all it needs is for someone to finish what was started, to speak the right words, decode the pattern, summon the author. And if that day comes, the devil may not be smiling from the pages anymore. He may be smiling through you. You know, most cursed objects cause misfortune by proximity. Painting, a mirror, a doll. But the devil's Bible doesn't work that way. It doesn't have to be in your house. It doesn't need to be to touch your skin. Sometimes just reading through the pages, many people see, is enough. Studying it, trying to focus too much on that devil. People are drawn into this Codex Gigas, often don't realize what they're inviting in until it's too late. And by the way, in the last 100 years, more than a dozen researchers have tried to translate the Codex Gigas in full, cover to cover. None have finished it. For example, Dr. Joseph Landa, a respected medieval linguist, in 1974, he began a private translation effort, locking himself in the National Library of Sweden after hours, and he called the project an act of redemption. He made it to 187 pages in before he stopped. His final notes: the letters rearrange themselves when I sleep. They whisper in Latin and something older, something angry. A month later, he left the field entirely, never published again. And when asked what happened, he simply said, some knowledge is too loud. So in the 1990s, a contemporary curator was assigned to the Codex Gigas during renovations in the library in Stockholm. He began sleeping in the archives, said he didn't feel safe at home, said the book felt calmer when he was near it. So co-workers said he would sometimes be found whispering to the devil's portrait, not chanting, not reading, whispering. And his contract ended, he refused to leave the building. So security found him hiding in the basement, surrounded by candles and Latin scribbles on the walls. He hadn't eaten for 3 days, but he had one request. Just let me keep reading. He's almost finished speaking. Now, in 2011, a team in Prague attempted something bold to create the most accurate digital copy of the Codex Gigas ever made. See, they didn't believe in curses. They believed in data. So they created ultra-high resolution scans of every page, every mark, even the devil's image. It was going to be open to the public, free even to view online. But something went wrong. Hard drives corrupted. Backups disappeared. 4 computers crashed permanently. 2 team members fell severely ill. One was diagnosed with a rare neurological disorder. And when the project lead, Aliska Novak, was asked if she would try again, her response was immediate: no, he doesn't want to be copied. And then there's the ones who's never even touched the book, never even studied, just visited it. Tourists, casual readers, late night researchers who stumbled across an article like, this one that was written, the people have written in from around the world describing the same things. Vivid nightmares, cloister burnings, pages flipping on their own, a red cloaked figure at the foot of their bed, always silent, always watching, waking up with Latin phrases in their minds that they've never learned, the sounds of quills scratching somewhere behind them when no one is there. Now, one woman claimed that she had a dream where the devil from the Codex smiled and then crawled out of the page. And he whispered something in her ear. She woke up with a nosebleed and the number 577 written on her bathroom mirror. Remember, 577 is where the devil's picture is. She had never even heard the Codex before, didn't believe in anything paranormal, but now? So she says, I don't go to sleep before sunrise. I don't own any more books anymore. So why does the Codex Gigas seem to punish those who get close? Some believe that the monk who wrote it wasn't just trying to save his soul, but trying to trap something inside. A binding spell, a cage, a prison. And every time someone opens the book, reads from it, studies too deeply, they're not just gaining knowledge, they're chipping at the lock. Now, one scholar actually once said, quote, there are books that tell you things, and then there are books that remember you. So the Devil's Bible may be one of the latter. And once you've been remembered, once you've seen him staring back from that page, you might wonder who's watching you. So now the Devil's Bible is kept under glass, locked away in the National Library of Sweden, monitored, preserved, cataloged. That doesn't mean that it's safe. It only means that it's quiet for now. But while some view it as a relic of medieval superstition, others believe something very different. See, they believe the Codex Gigas is still alive and it's still waiting to be finished. Now, some people say that the manuscript contains 310 pages. Well, that can't, it's more than that. One page is missing. Scholars have long debated what was there. Some believe that it was a continuation of exorcism rituals. Others suspect a confession or a prophecy. But those who work closely with the Codex say that the last page wasn't torn out, was never written, as if the book was meant to continue by someone else, by you. So in recent years, by the way, there has been a spike in visits to the Codex Gigas. Tourists, historians, occultists, TikTokers, people want to see the devil. They want proof, or they want a thrill. Curators have noticed something strange. Visitors fainting, equipment glitching, and the worst cases, people obsessed after leaving, returning over and over until they've been banned from the building. One American woman was caught pressing her forehead to the glass, whispering, "If I can remember the script, I can finish it." She never studied Latin, and that's what it's written in, but the words were real. In 2017, a small order of Benedictine monks issued a rare public statement. Quote, "There are pages that should not be turned." And they were referring to the Codex Gigas. Others aren't so cautious. In certain occult circles, it's believed that the Codex is an unfinished contract and that the person who completes it will receive the monk's reward. And nobody can agree what that means. Some say immortality, others say madness. Some say, some whisper the worst theory of all, that whoever writes the final page becomes the book's next prisoner. But it is sealed. It's displayed, it's sealed in a climate-controlled room. It's often referred to quietly as the room of silence by the staff. Guards say that the air feels heavier there. Phones actually die faster. Even their voices sound muffled, like the sound is being absorbed. Here's what's really interesting. One night in 2021, the building's security system caught something disturbing. A camera that was trained on the devil's page showed movement, not in the room, but on the page itself, a shimmer, like a distortion. The image flickered just for a second. Reviewers dismiss it as a glitch, but one guard quit the same week. He never explained why, and his resignation letter, he wrote 5 words: "I know what I saw." These are stories you tell at Halloween. Tales of thrill to spook to entertain, and then there are stories like this. Stories you find yourself remembering at night. Stories that leave you with a feeling that you can't shake. That maybe, just maybe, some doors are real, and some are already open. Now, if you search online, you'll find digitized versions of the Codex Gigas. It's there. They have it up now, folks. You can look at every single page. You can zoom in on the devil's face. You can even print them, copy them, study them. Just know this. The monk who wrote the Codex gave up his soul to finish it. So if you go looking into the devil's Bible, you may just be invited to write the next page. And when you do, don't be surprised if he's already waiting. And that, my friends, is your presentation on the Codex Gigas. That's crazy, isn't it? The fact that this is a true story makes it even more troubling. I just, that is really the backstory of that with the monk living in complete isolation. And he was giving a death sentence. He couldn't escape. So as midnight approached, the sheer enormity of the task became very apparent. Realizing the impossibility of the promise, the monk turned to the unthinkable. He invoked the devil himself. And according to many people, Satan answered his desperation plea. I don't know. It's what we do know for a fact. Here's what we know for a fact. Handwriting analysis reveals that the book was indeed written by a single individual. It is evidenced by the remarkable consistency of the entire script. The very flow of ink onto the vellum pages points to one scribe behind this monumental work. And that's where it doesn't make sense. I mean, it was just insane. And this could be, in order for this to, it would be decades to complete this. Yeah. I would absolutely be interested in learning this book. Sure. No, you're not going to have nightmares for listening to it. There's nothing. The nightmares come when people get around the book or they start looking it up, and then they start looking through all the pages. And Mr. Producer's probably saying, "Oh my gosh!" And he's probably closing it. Probably because Mr. Producer behind the scenes is probably online right now looking at the book. Mr. Producer, put the book away. He probably is, Mr. Producer. He's probably online right now, looking it up right now and looking through it. And now when Bishop Long says, yeah, but if you look through it, you might be possessed. So good job, Mr. Producer. That's why it's kind of been haywire lately. But thank you there. Thank you very much, kindness. But this is insane. Thank you for the gifts. Well, thank you, kindness. Goodness gracious, it's very kind of you. I mean, the myth of the monks, the history or the belief of the monks pact with the devil, it continues to captivate us. Because I think it reflects something timeless, our fear of the unknown. Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, guys. Our fascination with the extraordinary, our attempts to explain the inexplicable. So, science certainly has rewritten parts of the legend, but the mystery behind the motives and obsession of the Codex Gigas, the creators, it still lingers. And that's what's so frightening about this thing. The full page portrait of the devil himself is, and many of you have seen this picture before. Online, I guarantee you have. And you probably didn't know where it come from. Well, now you know where it came from. And it's the picture of the devil, it takes up the entire page. Remember, it's 2 feet tall. It is 2 feet tall. Yeah. And the devil's grin, by the way, the devil's grin is given an entire page, devoid of distraction. Mr. Producer is showing that. It is huge. He's showing that on social media. On a KGRDB. Yeah, it's they sell it on Amazon, really? No, are you serious? Let me check this real quick. I hope not. Let me just. Well, I see it. I hope it's not the actual copy of the book. Maybe it might be explaining what it is. Wow. A book was unlooking about entirely into the chilling world. Okay, the largest surviving. Okay. So this book here is the definitive guide to the real contents. No modernized spells, no fictional embellishment, just deeply researched. Wow. I hope that, you know what? I hope this, it may be just a guide. I'm hoping that it's not an actual copy. Oh no, that's not showing. Thank you, Sheena. Thank you. It's not actually. I don't see the copy. There's a book there. That's insane. We have to. Thank you, guys. I mean, the most straightforward explanation suggests that it serves as a spiritual warning. And by presenting, remember, the devil in all of its horrifying glory, the image, I think, reinforces the dire consequences of sin and the omnipresence of evil, even within a text designed to who knows. But this is, I think, the esoteric possibilities. I mean, could the inclusion of the devil's image have served a ritualistic or protective purpose? Remember, in medieval times, it was not uncommon for text dealing with exorcisms or demonic law to feature imagery of demons, not as a celebration of evil, but as a way to symbolically bind or control those forces. But the Codex Gigas contains several texts on exorcisms and the invocation of spiritual protection. Yeah, Mr. Producer? Hold on, let me turn you up.
All right, so I just looked on Amazon, and there is the Codex Complete Volume. It's a 3-book series. I'll share it on the screen. I was kind of shocked myself, but it's claiming that's what this is. I'm going to just bring it up quickly on the screen. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 3-book volume. So I look at the price too, of course, but it looks like it might be available. It's broken up into 3 segments here. The Codex Complete Volume 3-book series. I posted the link in the private chat.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's it. Maybe you can look it over, but I find that kind of alarming and shocking too that they have this thing available out there.
That is insane. Yeah, I see volume 1, volume 2, volume 3 here. Wow. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. Thank you for letting everybody know. That's didn't get very good rating though. It's only, boy, that's tell you what, some people are not liking that at all. Let's see. So waste of money. This book isn't even readable. Misinformation hype, no picture. Poorly thought out series. Copies of the pages were small, but the real issue was that the 3 volumes available doesn't even have half of the original book. This is what the book looks like. Well, yeah, I mean, let me just show you this. You're not going to get possessed by me just showing you something. This is, if you get an idea, let me show you how small and perfect print it is. Look at this. You see that? That is profound. And so that a lot of people don't like it because you can't read it. I think there are probably, I would bet you, somewhere online, I would bet you there is a translation that you could probably find. My advice, don't do it. Just don't do it. This is really, we don't know. It's put your again, I would never do anything that I would think that would possess anybody, folks. So I think we're going to be okay. No one had, unless you're reading Latin and studying it. That's the point. When people go into the book and start studying it and reading what it says, that's when they have issues. That's when they begin to have problems. And I tell you what, it really is the devil's portrait in the Codex. It triggers. It's transcended. It's yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Producer.
You were right. It is maybe not so much on the Amazon, but I have no interest other than you speaking about this topic tonight, because I didn't even know about this until you mentioned about doing this on the show tonight. And just like you said, I'm going to share the screen. Check this out. Again, you would have to be able to, like you said, to read it.
Yep.
But look at this. And this is a PDF. And this is, look how long the PDF is. It's 612 pages.
So it is online.
Yes, I don't want to show no more because I'm freaking out actually on it. But yes, you were right. Somewhere online, you just mentioned it, and I just did a search based on what you said, and look. And
I'll bet you everything that there is a website that not only has it online, but I bet you anything there is a website that has it in English.
Yeah. All right, I'm freaked out enough. See you later.
Now, look, here's the deal. Now, again, I want to say this. I want to make it very clear. The people who have issues are people who know Latin, and they are able to get into it and translate it. That's when you have some issues there. It's when you're able to translate it and people become obsessed with it. My friends, let me make this perfectly clear to everybody who is either listening to me or watching or both. This is exactly what happens. There is no difference between this book and these things that you're collecting that are known to have demonic attachment. These items. People are buying items, haunted items, like crazy. And that is the thing to do now because they want to find out if it's real. Friends, do you not understand? It is the same thing. There's a lot of people who are buying items online that's claimed to be, for example, claimed to be demonic or have a demonic attachment. And then people buy them. They're buying them left and right. One, you have no idea the history of this item that you're purchasing. Two, if the person says it's demonic, why in the hell are you buying it in the first place? Maybe you should leave it alone. That would be the best thing to do. And people are buying these haunted items and then they're putting them in their home. You got to think about this. You have no idea, and I've said this before, the person who is selling you this item, you have no idea what they've done in their home. Did they put a curse on the item? Did they ask a demon to attach itself to this item? You don't know. You have no idea. And you're buying this item, and then let's say that you do bring it home, and now you have activity occurring in your home. So people are doing this at an alarming rate. And this really is becoming a problem. Because now it's the hot item thing. It's a hot thing to do now because people, they want to get clicks. I'm working on a situation right now where a person went online to let's say an auction site. Let's just say that. And there was a doll, and this person who is selling it said, "Oh, it's an old doll, and it has at least 5 demons attached to it, all this other stuff." Well, this person think whatever, so they buy it, they bring it to their home. the activity becomes violent, very violent in their home. They contact the person who sold it. And the person who sold it even sent them a message and said, well, yeah, I do dark magic. I told you there were 5 demons. And so the person said, well, why didn't you tell me? I told you. I did tell you. It says in the thing, there are 5 demons that are attached to this. So the person who sold that doll did these evil demonic incantations to have demonic spirits attach themselves to this doll. And now this person brought this item to their home, and now they're having violent activity. Well, that's the problem. You were told, and you have no idea what the person is doing who has this doll or item before they sell it to you. Stay away from these items. Stay away from them. There's nothing good that will come from owning them. But this book, in my opinion, is quite dangerous, and it certainly is very frightening. It's one that it should be left alone. Okay. Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah, thank you for saying that to me, Mr. Producer. So anyway, that is the Codex Gigas. Why tempt fate? But this is a fascinating story. And what's really fascinating about it is that we know the book exists. So this is not just urban legend that, okay, yeah, there's no proof in it. No, there is a physical book that does exist in the Library of Sweden that is behind lock and key. And that's pretty frightening. Okay, so let's get into some of our articles that we have. And then we're going to, because we have a little bit of time. Yep. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Sheen. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Okay, folks, TK Randall writes us, listen, a mystery disc shape object was spotted in Antarctica on Google Maps. Well. So an eagle-eyed Google Earth individual has discovered a strange disc-like object on the Antarctic ice. Anomaly hunters have spotted some unusual things on satellite images over years, and this is the latest example, which looks like a dark saucer-like disc half embedded in ice. It's no exception. It truly is amazing. It is situated 90 miles from the coast of Antarctica. It can be found at 66 degrees, all these other words. It is located 45 miles from Mill Island and 6 miles from the A.B. Dabrowski Polar Station. Of course, given its distinctive disc shape, it didn't take long for social media users to begin suggesting that it is some sort of crashed UFO. But is it really as it seems? Well, zooming out, the angle is a little misleading. It is possible that the disk is actually an area of shadow or of a rock formation that just happens to look circular from above. According to Professor Ethan Davis, a glaciologist, University of Newcastle, the most likely explanation is that it is in fact a small lake of water situated within a rock basin. There's a small patch of snow, and the warmer lake water has a lower degree, so it absorbs more solar radiation. Anyway, if you have not seen this, take a look at it. It is interesting. When you look at it from this angle, I mean, it kind of does look like an object, a disc shape. So just type in mystery disc shape Antarctica, and it will come up to you. It really is it's a cool picture. Speaking of UFOs and aliens, yeah, it is interesting. TK Rana writes this as well. An interstellar visitor shows signature of industrial production. Well, new spectroscopic data from observations of the object have hinted that it might be artificially constructed. Well, you know what we're going to talk about, and this was just recently published today. The object known as 3I Atlas was first revealed on July 1st following its discovery by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. a robotic astronomical survey which uses multiple telescopes to scan the night sky for small near-Earth objects. Believed to measure 12 miles across, the object is heading toward the inner solar system at 152,000 miles per hour. While many scientists believe that the 3I Atlas is likely to be a comet, others, such as Harvard professor Avi Loeb, maintain that it could in fact be under intelligent extraterrestrial control. Now, a new paper analyzing spectroscopic data recorded by a very large telescope has highlighted a peculiar anomaly in the plume of gas surrounding the object. Most notably, it seems to contain nickel, but not iron, which, according to Loeb, is something you would typically expect to see in the industrial production of nickel alloys. Quote, natural comets generically show iron and nickel simultaneously as both elements are produced together in the ejecta of supernova explosion, he wrote. Is this anomaly another clue for possible technological origin of 3I Atlas? The paper suggests chemical formation through the nickel, the channel, which is an extremely rare and exotic possibility in comets, where it is a standard technology for industrial nickel refining. So, could this be further evidence that the GI Atlas was artificially constructed? On the one hand, I would be pleased if 3I Atlas turned out to be a CO2-rich comet, implying that humanity is not at risk from alien technology, Loeb wrote. But, on the other hand, humanity desperately needs a wake-up call to avoid self-destruction. So, again, we just simply don't know what this is, but I know what it is. I have said, when it first was talked about, Nerd Bishop Long said, this is a comet. I've said it, I'll still say it, and I'm not going to, I'm not changing my story. I do believe in alien life. A lot of people talk about that. Just, okay, iron. It's one of those iron things. Iron. Here's why I believe that alien life exists. I'm in Kentucky with it. If we're talking about strictly of the odds of alien life existing somewhere in the universe, I believe the probability of alien life existing in the universe is very high. I would even say close to 100%. And based on what we know about the size and composition of the cosmos, I would say it's 100%. Here's why. Listen to this. This is pretty fascinating. Because I'm a space nerd, I kind of know this stuff and why I know this information. But did you know that the observable universe contains an estimated 200 billion to 2 trillion galaxies? The observable universe, what we can observe, contains an estimated at least 200 billion to 2 trillion galaxies. Each galaxy has, on average, about 100 to 400 billion stars. So a significant percentage of those stars have planets. By the way, NASA's Kepler mission found that 40% of sun-like stars may have Earth-sized planets. And that means there are likely tens of billions of hundreds of billions of potentially habitable planets in our galaxy alone. And there are trillions of other galaxies. So speaking of science, statistically speaking, with such a staggering numbers, the odds of Earth being the only place where life it's astronomically low. However, if you think about the odds of intelligent, let's say you're thinking, well, what about of intelligent life? Technologically advanced life, something like us. Well, I would say scientists are probably less certain. By the way, there's the Drake equation, and that estimates the number of advanced civilizations in the Milky Way. Suggests anywhere from a handful of thousands, but the range is huge because many factors really are unknown. So I would say the odds of some form of life existing somewhere else in the universe? Over 99%. Odds of intelligent, space-faring civilizations? Well, it's possible. It's unknown. Maybe rare, maybe common. We just don't have the data. But if you look at it alone, remember, friends, there are billions of galaxies. Billions, even trillions. Do you know, and I've said this before, do you realize that from Earth to Jupiter at 42,000 miles per hour, it takes 10 years to get there? 10 years from Earth to Jupiter at 42,000 mile per hour rocket. And we are a small solar system. We are a speck of dust in the universe. And there are billions and billions of galaxies just like ours. So it's pretty fascinating, though, when you think about it, isn't it? Oh, by the way, if you want to buy a robot, well, guess what? You are in luck. You are in luck. Mr. Producer has about 4 of these. Because Mr. Producer, you know, he's a cool cat. He's in with all the technology, and, you know, easy for me to say, technology and all this. I don't understand all this technology stuff. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Sheena. Thank you, Sheena. Okay. God made the universe. As a matter of fact, even the Roman Catholic Church said, the Pope said, well, their chief astronomer said, it is not incompatible to call yourself a Christian and still believe that alien life exists. But if you want to buy a robot, you can for $6,000. True story. Kieran writes this: China's Unitree Robotics, Unitree Robotics has put out an affordable humanoid robot with some interesting capabilities. I think this will be pretty cool. So you might have noticed that humanoid robots are having a bit of a moment from Tesla's Optimus to AI's Figure 02. Well, machines are no longer just science fiction. They're walking and in some cases cartwheeling into the real world. Now, China's Unitree Robotics, best known for its nimble quadruped robots, has unveiled something that's turning heads: the Unitree R1. For one thing, it is a humanoid robot priced at under $6,000. That's not pocket change, but it orders a magnitude cheaper than it's robust in its class, and which can run into tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of them can. The R1 packs serious mobility, sensors, and AI potential into a package that could fit into a university lab, workspace, or even, if you're adventurous, your living room. The Unitree R1 is around 1.2 meters tall and weighs roughly 25 kilograms. I have no idea what 1.2 meters, how big is that? How many inches is that? Or how many feet? Yeah, 1.2 meters. How many feet is that? What, 5, 6 feet tall? 4 feet tall? But it'd be pretty interesting. It makes it compact and relatively easy to move around. It's equipped with 24 to 26 degrees of freedom. 3 feet. All right, 3 feet. So it's 3 feet tall. Given it a surprisingly human-like range of motion, it can walk, squat, wave, balance, kick, and according to Unitree's own demos, pull off athletic tricks like cartwheels. Well, it's loaded with sensors, cameras to see in 3D, microphones to hear where sounds are coming from, wireless connections to talk to other devices. Its built-in computer can handle both what it sees and hears at the same time. You can give it a little extra computing power if you buy NVIDIA's Jetson Orin, a high-performance computer often used in AI projects, which retails for about $180 or $200. It's like adding a turbo boost that lets a robot handle more demanding tasks, such as advancing image recognition, real-time decision-making, running complex software, etc. Battery life is about a whopping hour. 3 feet 11 inches? An hour. So battery life is about an hour. A quick release system that lets you swap in a fresh battery. It's not a full day's work, but it's enough for short bursts of training. testing or demonstration. That's a hell of a lot of money for $6,000 for an hour. But, I mean, you can swap batteries in and out. Nonetheless, here's the thing. While the R1's hardware is impressive, the software is still finding its feet. For example, Unitree's website says that the user still needs to understand the limitations of humanoid robots before making a purchase, reflecting constraints of the robot's autonomy. This is not unique to Unitree. It's the state of the humanoid robotics field as a whole. So, if you want to buy one for $6,000 that lasts an hour and, well, that's fun, go for it. Yeah, when it starts cooking and cleaning and all this other stuff, now, okay, now we're talking some business stuff. But yeah, come on. That's just, you know, a lot of people say that the Bible is just a fiction book. There's a lot of people say that. Well, those people don't know history because that's just simply not true. For those of you who don't know, T.K. Randall writes this. There is now evidence of biblical Canaanite industry unearthed in Israel. Well. So archaeologists have discovered the remains of an ancient blade factory around 40 miles south of Tel Aviv. The impressive site, which stretches over a large distance, was thought to have been once home to a sophisticated workshop where long flint blades were produced in large numbers. In addition to examples of these blades, archaeologists found the huge stones that were used to shape them, as well as hundreds of underground pits lined with mud bricks that served as storage areas. Evidence of dwellings in ritualistic spaces were also found. The discovery is particularly significant because it confirms descriptions in the Bible of the Canaanites, the original settlers of the region who lived there until the Israelites arrived and took it over. The most impressive findings discovered at the site are large flint cores from which extremely sharp, uniformly shaped blades were produced. Wow, the blades themselves were used as knives for cutting and butchering, as harvesting tools like sickle blades. And the production technology was extremely advanced, including the use of a kind of crane to exert precise pressure on the flint. Well, looky there, everybody. Say it ain't so. Say the Bible's actually true? Oh, my goodness gracious. What are the hater gators are going to say about that one? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not going to like that. Pity. Okay. Right. Everyone, Mr. Producer is going to charter a boat. A great big boat. And we're going to go to the Bermuda Triangle. Mr. Producer is going to, it's all expenses paid, right, Mr. Producer? All expenses paid. Mr. Producer is going to take care of that. True story, he's probably having a heart attack right now. But there is a new documentary that offers an explanation for the Bermuda Triangle mystery. Randall writes this as well. Thousands of people have disappeared within this unassuming region, and now we might have an answer as to why. There are few mysteries as enduring as the Bermuda Triangle, an expansive ocean in the North Atlantic that spans the area between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. And over the years, the region has become synonymous with the unexplained disappearances of ships and airplanes, often with no trace of them or crews ever being found. Now, in recently resurfaced Channel 5 documentary entitled The Bermuda Triangle Enigma. Is Mr. Producer's name Noah? Yeah. The documentary is called The Bermuda Triangle Enigma. University of Southampton oceanographer Simon Boxall has put forward what he believes to be the most likely explanation for the Bermuda Triangle phenomena: rogue waves. And there was a time when the idea that a sudden, disproportionately massive wave could appear out of the blue, sink an entire ship, was a little more than nautical folklore. But it wasn't until 1995, in fact, when a sudden huge wave actually sunk an oil drilling platform off the coast of Norway. that the reality of these gigantum freak waves was brought into sharp focus. The truth is, rogue waves can and do happen, but scientists do not still fully understand why. Now, according to Boxall, the region encompassing the Bermuda Triangle may be particularly prone to rogue waves due to its meteorological conditions. Even if rogue waves did explain why ships have disappeared, however, it doesn't quite explain why aircraft have also vanished over the region. Perhaps the true explanation is that multiple phenomena here are at play at the same time. So if you want to look it up, it's called the Bermuda Triangle Enigma. And it doesn't. I mean, okay, I can buy the ship situation, but yeah, but the planes doesn't answer that. So we simply do not know. We simply do not know. Oh, yeah, waves so high it reached the sky. By the way, for those of you who like Bigfoot and cryptozoology, I don't know if you've heard this story, but listen to this one. This will make you go, either roll your eyes and say, oh, please tell me more. Randall writes this. It says, a man claims to have found Bigfoot remains in New York State. Mr. Producer is up in this area. I'm just wondering if this is Mr. Producer. If this is Mr. Producer saying that he has found Bigfoot remains. I'm just saying, I mean, he is in that area. Well, a team headed up by a self-professed Bigfoot expert has allegedly discovered the remains of one of the creatures. The dubious claims comes from courtesy of Charles Snake Stewart. He's a Bigfoot enthusiast and a father of three who has spent years investigating the mystery within the some mountain region. According to reports, his team discovered a Bigfoot corpse in the woods, and now it is on display at the Horticulture Building at the Great New York State Fair from August 20th until September the 1st. The creature, which has been named Dak, is said to be 8 feet tall, muscular, covered in brown thick hair, has a facial features described as a mix of non-human and ape. Analysis of its scat has allegedly revealed that it is an omnivore, eats both meat and plants. If all this sounds too good to be true, however, it's likely because it is. Critics argue that the corpse is little more than a costume and a mask. The fact that it is necessary to purchase a ticket to go in and see it doesn't exactly help. By the way, if you want to go see it, you can look on it online. You can see some of the images of Dak in the local news report. But anyway, if you don't want to, go look online and just type in Dak, D-A-C-K, Bigfoot. And I'm sure you're going to be able to see it there. And nonetheless, it's one of those, right, I'm sure it's there. I do want to get to this one before, because, my gosh, time goes by too fast. Boys and girls, for those of you who don't know, the black moon, a black moon is coming. But what exactly is it? Well, thank you. All right, Randall writes this as well. Actually, no. Astronomer Laura Nicole Dreisen took a look at some of the different types of lunar events. There's been a lot of buzz online about the August black moon happening later this week. Well, actually it happened recently, didn't it? While you probably heard of the blue moon before, this might be the first time you've encountered its ominous surrounding counterpart. You're not alone. In fact, the blue moon or the black moon are astronomical terms. So what is a black moon? Well, its current definition has nothing to do with the actual color of the moon. So basically, it's circular. It's very, very simple. As a matter of fact, I'm going to, one second, let me scroll down here. There it is. The black moon this month is a seasonal black moon, and it's happening on August 23rd. Too late. But the next calendar, put it on your calendar, August 31st, 2027. So you got to put it on your calendar. If you, the next, by the way, seasonal blue moon will be on May 31st, 2026. So anyway, for those of you who are like moons and what is a black moon? What is that moon? What is this moon? Okay. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I saw that one. One second. I'm seeing which one I like. Okay, we have just a few more minutes to wrap up here. So I want to share this one. This is very strange. This is written by Samantha Rutt. A mysterious California UFO group offering angels to alien sermon and mind evolution forced to deny cult claims. Known as Alien Church. It exists, friends. The organization combines elements of religion, art, and extraterrestrial belief, according to its founder, who calls himself Mercury. The LA storefront I've got to go. I'm going to be going to Los Angeles. The LA storefront features a glass-walled space, minimalist neon signs, flashing words like art and love, alongside merchandise such as t-shirts, trucker hats, water bottles branded H2O Holy. So anyway, a crucifix depicting an alien. Not Jesus. And the message, if you believe in Jesus, you believe in aliens, can also be seen displayed above in the entrance. Inside, shelves hold 3D printed objects, including crowns of thorns, while a painting modeled after Da Vinci's Last Supper replaces Jesus and his disciples with aliens. The collective hosts events ranging from the weekly TGIF interfaith sermons on topics like from angels to aliens to nightly energy healing sessions. So anyway, one member, Isaiah Dupree, even claims he was abducted by aliens as a child, and he demonstrated a magnet sticking to his finger, which he says proves that he was implanted by extraterrestrials. In one image, published by San Francisco Gate, Dupree can be seen shining a light through the flesh of his finger, where he believes a piece of metal was inserted under his skin during an alien abduction. The Alien Church founder describes the center of multi-purpose space, one that can function as an art gallery of artists, a venue for performers, and a special place for positive actions. Now, the group promotes unity and belief in a higher power, along with the idea that aliens have seen much more of God's creation than humans. And Mercury told San Francisco Gate that he hopes that one day develop a missile capable of putting out wildfire in minutes. Anyway, Mercury attains that the center is privately funded through his other businesses, including print manufacturing and a truck rental service. He says no profit, and the merchandise sales are intended to help support the space. So if you go there, it's actually an alien church. That's what it's called, Alien Church. All right. Wow. That's interesting, isn't it? That is interesting. All right, so let's just wrap this up here. For those of you listening to this on podcast, we're going to say goodnight to you guys. As well, let me just shut this down. Yep. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's what happens. Okay, everybody, I want to remind you, listen, we're going to be here tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for night prayer, so hopefully you'll join us. We'd love to have you guys there. Remember, I tell you on KGREDB Radio and all the other social media platforms, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You are priceless, and don't let anybody tell you or convince you otherwise. Good night.